Daytona USA is now back online for the Sega Dreamcast using DreamPi. It joins an ever-growing library of online racing games for the Dreamcast. Looking to connect your Sega Dreamcast online, there are a number of different ways. The more popular ones is DreamPi and the Broadband Adapter. DreamPi is a Raspberry Pi image that enables you to connect those dial-up games online. The Broadband Adapter is a separate piece of hardware that connects in where the modem would be, which enables you to play broadband-enabled games. There's more games that are compatible with the dial-up method using DreamPi rather than the Broadband Adapter. The online games include Phantasy Star Online, Quake 3 Arena, Alien Front Online, Driving Strikers, Choo Choo Rocket, to name a few. Both methods of connecting your Dreamcast online require additional hardware or software. Dreamcast Online Community is a great way using Discord to arrange meetups and talk to the community. There's also lots of forums and websites out there as well. I'll put some links in the description of my favourite ones. The Dreamcast Now website is a great way to find out who's online and what game they are playing. You can also configure your DreamPi image here and also use TeamSpeak to join in some voice chats online. The North American and Japanese versions of the game are online, however the PAL version doesn't support online play. I played Daytona USA on a number of different platforms, the Sega PC versions of Daytona USA and Daytona USA Deluxe, as well as the Xbox 360 version of Daytona USA. It's also nice to see Daytona USA in the wild in the arcades here in Fantasy Island, Inglemouse. So in this video we're going to take a look at the online portion of Daytona USA, the NTSC North American version of the game on the Sega Dreamcast. Enjoy! To get this working online you need a Daytona USA network key as well as a save game file saved onto a VMU. To do this, on the menu select screen, scroll down to where it says Homepage and select this option. Once this page loads, you can see it says here register for NetBattle to obtain a key file. What you need to do is press on that little key icon. Once here, it will connect you online to connect via DreamPi to download this key. What you need to do is sign up or log in using your username and password. If you've already got the file, you just re-download it again. As you can see, I've already got the file, so I'm re-downloading it to show you. You select a VMU of where you want to save it to, so I'm just going to overwrite the original key that I have. And there you are. You are now ready to go online. Select NetBattle. Welcome to the online racing side of things. You choose the VMU with the key and also your save game file. There we are, now it's saying to you to connect to the network via the phone line, read the warning message, and then connect online. There you see it's dialing. Let's verify our username and password, and we're now online. Select your handle. There you go, there's my Dreamcast UK handle. Choose the server, DreamPi Daytona server, connect into the lobby. Welcome to Daytona Online. Okay, so to do this is the entrance, so you need to select a lobby that you want to join. There you can see there's people playing in the top lobby there, lobby 1, so we'll join that one. The user list is on the right hand side of the screen. Press start to join a team. You can see there DC Knight 2 has 2 players in there out of 4. So we join this room. Here you can chat. Go in the change settings to choose your car. Gonna keep it as Hornet. On the right hand side you can see you've all selected the Hornet car because it shows the Hornet icon. So now that we're all set, this is my first online race on Daytona USA on the Sega Dreamcast Online.
So, good luck. 3, 2, 1, go!
And here we are, 3 players online for this one. The game does support 4 players online. So throughout this video we're going to hear from players within the community on their thoughts about the online experience, as well as a person that reversed engineered the server to get back online.
Talking about Daytona on Dreamcast, I think it's always been the underrated Daytona, at least on the home consoles. It's always been a big franchise all through the 90s, early 2000s, but the Dreamcast one always kind of got ridiculed due to its kind of tight controls, lack of customizations, but it still was a great port of Daytona. With recently, it's had a resurge where it went back online. Now you can do four-player online multiplayer for Dreamcast using DreamPi, but you kind of have to want it. You know, part of the process of putting it online, you have to generate a key that you download through the Dreamcast websites. You have to then have a updated DreamPi, and you have to be port forwarded or DMZ'd on your router settings. So because of that, it's developed a slower group of people that play it, but the people that are playing it really want to play it. Because you had to take so many steps, you're not going to do that unless you really like Daytona. And those of us that play it regularly, we actually really enjoy it. Like, the actual server itself plays really well. The only issue that you'll really run across is server drops here and there, but for a beta server, it still runs really well. It's just a matter of understanding kind of how to work around it. For example, you know, if you go into a multiplayer lobby and you start a game up, after each race, we know to exit the actual lobby and reset it, refresh, and start another race. And it only takes a few seconds, but because of kind of the steps you have to take, it's developed, you know, a dedicated place to play Daytona on Dreamcast. And those of us that are still playing Dreamcast 20 years after the fact, it's unbelievable that we're still that dedicated.
The graphics looks amazing. I do like Daytona games. I like arcade racing games. So I've, like I said at the start of the video, been a fan of Daytona from the Sega PC games, the arcade games as well, and this one as well is a great addition to the Dreamcast library for arcade racers and the Daytona series. So in this part of the video, we're going to speak to the person that brought these servers back online, ask a couple of questions and get their answers.
Hi, I'm Ioncannon, and thank you for letting me be part of this video.
Daytona USA, what made you make the decision to restore this server?
I actually started with the Dreamcast KDDI service, which was used by a whole slew of Capcom games in Japan rather than Daytona, since I was a big Street Fighter 3 Third Strike fan. While I was able to get the matchmaking server working, the actual game portion does a modem connection, serial connection, like the old Doom and Quake games or the Sega Saturn service did back in the day. Problem of course is POTS doesn't exist, or people don't really have landlines anymore. We did some tests with a TCP wrapper, but there was a lot of lag and stuff, so that was a pretty big disappointment on my part. But then I saw on the Dreamcast Live page that Daytona was still not figured out. It was like one of the last games to figure out. And after some small like reverse engineering, I was able to find that there's still a lot of debug information and stuff in there. So it looked like a good try. And once I started, the ball just kept rolling. And you know, I call it digital archaeology. Once you get a little layer and you peel back more and more, it's like, oh my god, what is this? What's going on? So, or how does this work? So, yeah, that's how it went.
Were you a fan of Daytona or even the Sega Dreamcast before you started this project?
To be honest, I had not played a Daytona game until this project. You know, I knew the series, Daytona, Let's Fly Away, and I could see it on the arcade and the shelves, but NASCAR was never my thing, so I would never get into it. However, where I grew up, we had this mega arcade called Sega City Palladium. This was in Canada. And they had a special version of Sega Indy 500. And it was like 10 people linked. They had these model Indy cars that you sat in. They had huge, I guess they were projector screens. And there would even be like an announcer narrating, like, you know, oh, car 3 is in first place, and et cetera, like that. And I think it ran on the same arcade board and engine that Daytona used. But yeah, once I started working on this, I really had a lot of fun playing Daytona. It's really fun.
Indy 500 is a really good arcade racing game from Sega. I've also even played the Tiger Game conversion as well, but less said about that the better. What were the difficulties and struggles that you came across when testing, and how did you test if the server was even working?
Compared to my other projects, Daytona was pretty easy to reverse engineer actually. It's written in C, so you're not dealing with weird C++ quirks like virtual tables. There was a whole bunch of debug information, and looking at the other games that used the Lock Engine, Iwango Lock Engine API, I was able to find Windows versions, because Dreamcast can do Windows C. And the way DLLs work, it actually exported all the function names, so I also knew at least what the functions kind of did, because based on the functions, I have to still find them, but just having a name is very useful. But the most difficulty was actually kind of at the end when I was trying to get the actual multiplayer working, and it was a bit of a red herring that happened. So it was basically an assumptions the developers made back in 1999, which was, hey, everyone has dial-up, and because dial-up is a point-to-point, PPP connection, it's one-to-one. Your IP was your WAN IP. So in the modern day, we have routers. So your IP is just whatever your IP for that network is, and then your WAN IP is the router's IP, or if you have more complex networks, who knows what it is. When you get to the point you're at the internet level. Now, the problem is Daytona uses that IP as a key in its internal list of players. And so when packets were coming in, which are UDP packets for the game portion, it was saying, hey, what player is this packet for? Here's the IP, and then it'll look and it'll be your router IP, and then it's not in the list, so it'll just discard the packet. So connections couldn't start. And the way it knew everyone's IP was because at the initialization stage, all the clients look at their IP and say, okay, this is my WAN IP, here you go. But of course, it's not your WAN IP, it's your router IP. Anyway, that took a bit, step by step, to figure out where is this bug happening. So to fix the issue, Shuoma created a interceptor that sits in the DreamPi that on init swaps all the IPs around so that the IPs in the list are now router IPs, so everything's, player can be looked up properly and everything works. And then I think Flying Head, if I remember correctly, the Flycast developer, he also added some code to fix the issue.
So, good luck. 3, 2, 1, go!
Was there anything about the restoration of this server that went better than expected?
Well, more in retrospect, I'm surprised how much of the codebase I was able to actually document. I have data structures, functions, variable names, etc. Even things like socket lists and player lists, and it's interesting because when I started, I knew nothing how this game worked. Now the funny part is, it's kind of like if a tree falls, does it make a noise? Well, if a function's not called, does the function exist? So things Daytona didn't use, but other games like Sega Tetris did, for example, storing player information, because Daytona doesn't store any of your player info, but Sega Tetris will store what you've unlocked and things like that. So I'm seeing functions that are totally invisible in one project, but are visible in this one. There's still more to discover.
Have you worked on any other Dreamcast projects, servers or anything otherwise?
Well, I mentioned the Capcom KDDI server, but I've also, in my experimentations, looked at the Capcom versus SNK2, I think it is, server, which works totally differently. It's still KDDI, but works totally differently and can actually interface with the PS2. That looked promising, but I didn't really look too deep into it. As well, the Onsen games, so I think it's Guru Guru Onsen 1, 2, and 3, as well as Sakura Taisen Online, and Sakura Wars Online. They all use the same network protocol. I was able to, get the main headers figured out, the encryption, and at least get up to the login screen, but that's where I left that project. most of the time I'm actually not in the Dreamcast space. You can blame Dude 22072, a friend of mine. He kept pinging me about Sakura Wars, and then that led to KDDI, which led to Daytona, which led to Onsen.
Where Daytona stands out the most is that there's nothing online right now that the Dreamcast can actually offer online. You know, you have 4x4 Evo, we've had F35 Challenge pop out, but you've not had a lot of racing alternatives that are arcade racing like Daytona. So because of its proprietary nature of racing, it's considered now it's the only type of game online available to us. So for us to generate a 4-player, it's you know, you have one message in a Discord and you have 2 to 4 players in the lobby within, you know, 10-15 minutes, which for a game that age to be able to generate an audience all on original hardware is pretty incredible, not including that, you know, we can see people with emulators that will start to wedge in as we go.
Daytona USA is easily my favorite online Dreamcast game. Before its online functions were restored, I played a lot of the Saturn CE version online over at the Shiro Discord, which is super fun but limited to just the 1v1. Having 4 players and arcade graphics is a huge step up. I applied the music hack too to have the original songs. We have a nice little dedicated group over at the Dreamcast Online Discord that likes to play a couple nights a week. Sometimes there's connection issues, but we've had a ton of successful 4P matches. We figured out that if the person with connection issues hosts the game, it can fix the problem most of the time. The game does freeze if you don't go back to the server selection screen after every race, so it's not perfect, but it's a pretty quick process, so I don't mind too much. I also really like how you can use the cars you unlock and customize online, so you can make any of the cars your favorite color.
So Daytona USA, in my opinion, for the Sega Dreamcast is a great arcade racer. Yes, the controls might be a little bit slippy here and there, but you can change and customize those. Speaking of customization, you can change your car and unlock cars if you use those online as well, as previously mentioned. But it's not just the online experience as well, there's plenty of things to do on the single player and offline modes. And there you go, that is Daytona USA, the online side of things with the Sega Dreamcast using DreamPi. Thank you for everybody that contributed towards making this video. If you want to get your Dreamcast online, check out the links in the description below. We also played Daytona USA online using Parsec. I've put a video in the top right hand side of the screen and also in the video description. Let us know in the comments if you like Daytona or have played any of the Daytona games in the series. So once again, thank you very much for watching, take care and see you again soon, all the best, bye bye.